What was the biggest military blunder of all time? Right at the end of WW2's phony war period, there was a major, miles-long traffic jam of German armor and artillery that essentially ran from the Ardennes forest back to the German border. French air reconnaissance spotted the traffic jam, but their superiors didn't believe the intel and chose to completely ignore it. France basically blew a golden opportunity to neutralize enough German armor that nobody would have ever heard the term blitzkrieg. France fell roughly 2 weeks later. There was a reply in a thread similar to this in which the Khwarezmian emperor slaughtered an emissary of a neighboring state who was sent to ask for the neighbor's trade caravans to be protected from a wayward governor. The emperor refused to hear the emissary and had him executed. The emissary was Genghis Khan's, who promptly erased the entire Khwarezmian Empire from the face of the earth in retaliation. I'll keep looking for the original reply, its quality. Easily the Battle of Tshama. Sailed the entire Russian Navy around the globe to be annihilated in a little over 24 hours. Emperor Nicephorus deciding to rest in the Varvitsa Pass after plundering Pliskwa. His silly decision to set up camp in the middle of the mountain allowed Krum to not only ambush him and his army, but to also capture him. As punishment for sacking his capital, Krum beheaded Nicephorus and turned his skull into a wine goblet. This defeat deterred the Byzantine Empire from trying to cross the Balkan Mountains for nearly 2 centuries. Leave Hannibal alone. He's trying to lure you into a decisive battle, but don't give him what he wants. Just let him wander around Italy, bleeding himself to death in small skirmishes with allied cities. Do you have any idea the upkeep cost of just one elephant? He's hurting, trust me. Yes, you outnumber him. Yes, you have not 1 but 2 consuls here leading your forces. But trust me, the smarter strategy is to... Oh Jupiter, you're going to go ahead and attack him, aren't you? At Cannae? Really? Well, it probably won't be the worst defeat in Roman history, but it still sounds like a dumb move to me. The Gallipoli campaign in WW1, getting involved in a land war in Asia. Japan declaring war on the USA. FFS. I'd submit the Athenian invasion of Sicily. The initial commander of the invasion, Alcibiades, was replaced through some dodgy political maneuvering in the city while the invasion fleet was underway. The Athenians replaced him with Nicias, who appears to have been an idiot. After numerous reverses, the Athenians were preparing to pack up their army and their navy and return home when there was a lunar eclipse. Nicias, a superstitious man, asked the priest what the eclipse portended, and the priest told him to stick it out with the whole siege and invasion thing for another month, so he did. During that month the entire invasion force was either killed or captured and sold into slavery, and every Athenian ship was destroyed. The endeavor was a complete loss due to the interpretation of a celestial event. 1. Hitler's declaration of war on the Soviet Union. 2. Japan's attack on the US. 3. Hitler's declaration of war on the US after Japan attacked the US. 4. Everyone's actions at the start of WWI. Adolf Hitler's decision to invade the Soviet Union during World War II. Operation Barbarossa, launched in June 1941, proved disastrous for Nazi Germany despite initial gains. The invasion stretched German forces thin across vast territories, underestimated Soviet resilience, and ultimately led to the near destruction of the German army in the brutal Russian winter. The failure of Operation Barbarossa significantly contributed to the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II. It has to be Soviet Union and Afghanistan helped bankrupt them. Battle of Savo Island. Lack of communication made the US Navy get annihilated by the Japanese. Had they reached the carriers, it would have been game over. The battle at Horns of Hattin. King of Jerusalem Guy to Lusignan lost to Saladin. It was the battle that started the decline of Outermare and the fall of Jerusalem. Drevlians proposing that Olga of Kiev marry their leader, who had just ordered the death of her husband Igor. Japan attacking the U.S. and botched the raid by striking when the carriers were not in Pearl Harbor. Then Germany declaring war on the U.S. earlier than necessary. The Austro-Hungarian Empire declaring war on Serbia in 1914 after the assassination of their crowned prince, Archduke Ferdinand. You could maybe say the British upholding a treaty with the French, a treaty famously described as a scrap of paper, and that's what caused all the death and destruction. But really, we have to go back to the source. The British battlecruiser design philosophy. Something like 6,000 lives were lost to the flawed concept of battleship guns but weaker armor, versus the Germans' heavy armor but weaker guns, which could still penetrate the armor of British battlecruisers. Multiple ships and thousands of men, each blown apart in an instant. I challenge anyone to find a single naval design blunder that has killed more people than the British battlecruiser design concept. Somewhat stereotypical answer, but literally any time anyone invades Russia in the wintertime or messes with America's boats,